I bought my dream home and invited my family for a housewarming. Nobody showed up. They all went to check my sister's new car instead. Then as I flipped on the lights, my phone blew up with a call from my dad. "We need to talk." Now, I thought buying my dream home would finally prove my worth to my family. Instead, it became the night my father's cold voice shattered everything, accusing me of ruining it all. I still remember the hollow ache, standing in the silent living room of the house I'd poured my soul into, the phone feeling like a block of ice in my trembling hand. For 32 years, I, Eleanor, had spent my life as the responsible one. The oldest of three, I felt the weight of expectation from the start. My parents, Richard and Diane, raised us in a modest home in Ohio. They were hardworking, but emotional warmth, especially for me, was rare. My younger sister, Chloe, with her blonde curls and bright blue eyes, was instantly the family princess. While I got practical books, Chloe received beautiful dresses. I was told to be responsible. She was allowed to be carefree. "Why can't you be more like your sister, Eleanor?" Or, "Chloe knows how to make people smile. You're always so serious." These comparisons created a chasm between us. I threw myself into academics, convinced that if I couldn't win their affection with personality, I could with achievement. I joined every club, volunteered, maintained a perfect GPA, and earned a full scholarship to a prestigious university. Yet, even my college graduation, summa cum laude with a double major, was overshadowed. At dinner, when I expected some acknowledgement, the conversation quickly turned to Chloe's new boyfriend and his lake house party. "Can you believe Chloe got invited to the Andersons' party? They're one of the wealthiest families," my mother gushed. I sat there, my diploma folder beside me, invisible. Only my younger brother, Leo, then 16, caught my eye and gave me a subtle thumbs up. He always saw more than our parents did. After graduation, I moved to Denver, securing a position at a growing marketing firm. I worked tirelessly, fueled by a singular dream: owning my own home. Every extra dollar, every sacrificed weekend, went into savings. My family found my career choices puzzling. "Why marketing?" my father would ask. "You could have gone to law school." Meanwhile, Chloe dropped out of community college, but landed a job at a boutique through a family friend, celebrated as smart networking. Over those 10 years, I built a life. I found friends who valued me, mentors who pushed me. The dream of a home wasn't just about property. It was a sanctuary, a place where I truly belonged, without conditions or competition. When I finally reached my savings goal at 32, the pride was immense. This was mine, accomplished alone. The search for my dream home began. I envisioned a craftsman-style house with character, a small garden, a cozy kitchen, and a front porch. After 3 months, I found it, a 1920s craftsman bungalow in a charming Denver neighborhood. It needed work, outdated kitchen, scuffed floors, but the bones were solid. High ceilings, original crown molding, built-in bookshelves. The moment I stepped inside, I knew. I could see the dinner parties, the quiet evenings. My offer was accepted. The closing process was a blur, but on a warm July Tuesday, keys in hand, Realtor Grace hugged me. "Congratulations, you're officially a homeowner." I drove straight there, stood on the walkway, taking it all in. That night, I slept on an air mattress, too excited to wait. Over the next 2 months, I poured my heart into renovations. I painted every room, refinished floors, transformed the kitchen. I watched countless YouTube tutorials, making endless trips to the hardware store. As September arrived, the house was finally ready. Every room reflected my personality, my taste, my journey. It was truly mine. A housewarming party felt like the perfect celebration. I handcrafted invitations, adding old family photos for my parents and siblings, expressing how much their presence would mean. My mother called, "Eleanor, this is lovely. We wouldn't miss it." Chloe texted, "OMG sis, can't wait. By the way, just bought a new car, LOL." Leo called, genuinely interested, promising a special gift. The night before, my mother assured me they'd be there. I went to bed, a sense of completion washing over me, believing that for once, I would be celebrated. Little did I know the next day would bring the most painful disappointment of my life. I woke at 6 a.m., too excited to sleep. Sunlight streamed in, promising a perfect day. I made appetizers, spinach pinwheels, a charcuterie board, homemade hummus, mini lemon tarts. By 9:30, the counters were laden. My friend, Sarah, and her boyfriend, Noah, arrived at 10 to help, gushing over the house. By noon, everything gleamed. Guests started arriving at 2:45 p.m. Coworkers, neighbors, college friends. By 3:15, 20 people filled my home with laughter and conversation. But my family was nowhere. At 3:30, I texted my mother, no reply. I kept smiling, refilling drinks, but anxiety gnawed at me. Had there been an accident? At 4 o'clock, the party was in full swing. I called my mother, no answer. My father, straight to voicemail. I texted Leo, are you guys coming? Is everything okay? At 4:30, my phone buzzed. A text from Jessica, a friend who couldn't make it, just saw your family at Evergreen Motors. Your sister was taking pics next to a red convertible with a big bow on it. Thought they were coming to your party after. I stared at the message, my hands suddenly cold. They hadn't forgotten. They had chosen not to come. They had all gone to celebrate Chloe's new car instead of my housewarming. The realization hit me like a physical blow. After all the years, all the effort, they still chose Chloe. Again. Everything okay? Sarah asked, noticing my face. I forced a smile. Just checking messages. But nothing was fine. As guests complimented my home, a hollow feeling grew inside me. The people who should have been proudest weren't even here. By 7 o'clock, guests began to leave. By 8:30, the last one departed. I closed the door, surrounded by the remnants of what should have been a perfect day. Gift bags sat unclaimed. The special place settings for my family remained untouched. The family photo album lay closed. I mechanically cleaned, replaying Jessica's text. My house, a symbol of achievement, now felt utterly empty. I sank onto the sofa, the tears I'd held back finally falling. Just then, my phone lit up. Dad calling. My heart jumped. An explanation, maybe? I answered, my voice carefully controlled. Hello. Eleanor. My father's voice was ice-cold, sharp. We need to talk now. I sat up, wiping tears. This wasn't an apology. The accusation was unmistakable. Somehow, in their absence, I was the villain. About what? I asked, hurt lacing my voice. About what you did to your sister, he replied. My world tilted. What I did to Chloe? I repeated, disbelief washing over me. Dad, I didn't do anything to her. I haven't even seen her in weeks. Don't play innocent with me, Eleanor, he said, his voice tight. You know exactly what you did. I stood, pacing my beautiful living room. Dad, I honestly have no idea what you're talking about. What I do know is that my entire family missed my housewarming party today without so much as a text message to explain why. A pause. Then, even colder, your mother is very upset right now. Chloe told us you changed the date of your party deliberately to conflict with her car purchase appointment. She's been saving for that car for months, and you knew how important today was for her. The accusation was so absurd it stunned me. I'd sent invitations 2 weeks ago. That is absolutely not true. I finally managed. I set this date weeks ago. Chloe knew the date perfectly well. She showed us the text message you sent her yesterday, changing the time from 6 p.m. to 3 p.m., knowing she had her appointment at the dealership at 3, my father countered. Why would you do that, Eleanor? Are you that jealous of your sister that you needed to ruin her special day? My mind raced. I had texted Chloe yesterday, but only to confirm she was coming, not to change times. The invitation always said 3 o'clock. Dad, that's not what happened. I never changed the time. Check your own invitation. It always said 3 p.m. We don't have the invitation anymore, he replied dismissively. And that's beside the point. The point is that your sister needed her family's support today for her first major achievement. And you tried to force us to choose. His words stung like a slap. My college graduation? My promotions? This house I'd saved 10 years for? None of those counted as achievements in his eyes. My invitation said 3 p.m. from the beginning, I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. And even if there was confusion, why did none of you call me? Why did you all just not show up? Because your mother and I decided we needed to support Chloe. She was in tears thinking about how you were trying to overshadow her again. Again. As if I had ever tried to overshadow her, when my entire life had been spent in her shadow. Dad, I bought a house with my own money, after working for 10 years and saving everything I could. I wanted to share that with my family. How is that overshadowing Chloe buying a car? It's not about the house or the car, Eleanor, he said. It's about your attitude. You've always been competitive with your sister, always trying to one-up her. The injustice of his statement left me breathless. Every memory of standing quietly while Chloe received praise for minimal effort, every time I'd swallowed disappointment when my achievements were overlooked, every instance of biting my tongue when comparisons were made, all of it rushed through my mind. I need you to apologize to your sister, my father continued. She's very hurt by what you did. Something broke inside me then. A lifetime of accommodation, of accepting scraps, of being the responsible one who never complained. I will not apologize for something I did not do, I said firmly. Chloe lied to you. I never changed the time of my party. And the fact that none of you bothered to check with me, that you all just assumed I was in the wrong without question, says everything about our family dynamic. Don't talk to me about family dynamics, young lady. His voice rose. We raised you better than this. Your mother is in tears over your behavior. My behavior? I'm the one who was left waiting for my family at my housewarming, watching the door while everyone else enjoyed the party. I spent weeks planning. You need to think about someone other than yourself for once, Eleanor. The unfairness of that statement was the final straw. Tears streamed down my face now, but they were tears of anger as much as hurt. I have spent my entire life thinking about everyone else, Dad. I've been the responsible one. The one who never caused problems, the one who worked hard and did everything right. And still Chloe always comes first, always. That's not true and you know it, he said, but there was a slight hesitation in his voice. It is true and deep down you know it too. I'm going to hang up now because this conversation is not productive. When you and Mom are ready to hear my side of things, you can call me back. Eleanor, don't you dare hang up on me. I ended the call, my hands shaking. For a long moment, I stood in my living room, surrounded by the home I had created, feeling more alone than I ever had. My phone immediately rang again. This time, it was my mother, Diane. I took a deep breath. Mom, I can't talk right now. Eleanor, how could you do this to your sister? Her voice was thick with tears. You know how sensitive she is, and you know how much this car meant to her. Mom, I didn't do anything to Chloe. I sent invitations 2 weeks ago for a 3 p.m. party. I never changed the time. She showed us your text, Eleanor. Why are you lying? I am not lying, Mom. Chloe lied. And the fact that you immediately believe her over me hurts more than I can say. My mother's voice hardened. You've always been jealous of the attention Chloe gets. You need to grow up and stop these childish games. The conversation continued in circles, my mother refusing to consider that Chloe might have lied. By the time I hung up, I felt completely drained. Out of curiosity and mounting anger, I scrolled back through my text messages with Chloe. There was our exchange from yesterday. Me, hey Chloe, just confirming you guys are coming tomorrow at 3. Can't wait to show you the house. Chloe, totally. Unless something comes up, lol. But should be there. Nothing about changing times. Then I noticed something strange. There were screenshots in our conversation from earlier today, screenshots I had never sent. They showed a doctored conversation where I supposedly told Chloe the party had been moved to 3 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. Chloe had fabricated evidence and sent it to herself from my number in our text chain. I sat down heavily, the full weight of the manipulation hitting me. My sister had deliberately created a situation where my family would miss my housewarming, then made it appear to be my fault. The level of calculation was staggering. My phone buzzed with a text from Chloe. Hope her party was fun. Sorry we couldn't make it, but my new car is amazing. Maybe next time don't try to make everything about you. Just saying. The casual cruelty left me breathless. This wasn't sibling rivalry. This was deliberate sabotage. I turned off my phone and curled up on my sofa, surrounded by my beautiful home, now tainted by this painful revelation. The family I hoped would finally see my worth had shown me exactly how little they valued me. And my sister, my own sister, had orchestrated all of it. That night, alone in my dream house, I cried myself to sleep. After a restless night, I woke with a clarity I'd never experienced. The hurt and shock had crystallized into determination. I wasn't going to let Chloe's lies stand unchallenged. For once, I would confront the dynamics that had shaped our family for decades. I dressed carefully, choosing an outfit that made me feel confident. This wasn't about revenge. It was about truth, about finally standing up for myself. I drove to Chloe's apartment in the trendier part of Denver, rehearsing what I'd say. When she opened the door, her surprise was evident. "Eleanor, what are you doing here?" She was in pajamas despite it being nearly 11 a.m. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady. "May I come in?" She hesitated, then stepped aside. Her apartment was stylishly decorated, but cluttered with expensive shopping bags. "Is this about yesterday?" she asked defensively. "Because I already told Mom and Dad what happened." I took out my phone. "Yes, it is about yesterday. And about these." I showed her the fabricated screenshots. "Screenshots you fabricated to make it look like I changed the time of my party to conflict with your car appointment." Chloe's expression flickered between surprise and defiance. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Chloe, stop. The evidence is right here. You created fake messages. What I can't figure out is why. Why would you go to such lengths to make sure our family missed my housewarming?" She looked away, a flush creeping up her neck. "You always have to be the center of attention, don't you? Perfect Eleanor with her perfect career, and now her perfect house. Meanwhile, I finally do something worth celebrating and no one would care because they'd all be too busy applauding you." The bitterness in her voice was startling. "Is that really how you see me? As someone who steals your spotlight, Chloe? My entire life, I've stood in the background while you received praise and attention for every little thing." "That's such a lie," she exploded. "Mom and Dad always talked about how smart you were, how responsible, how successful. Why can't you be more like your sister? Eleanor would never do that. Look at Eleanor's grades, her job, her savings. Do you have any idea what it's like to grow up hearing that?" I stared in disbelief. Were we from the same family? In my experience, it was always, "Chloe is so charming. Chloe is so pretty. Chloe makes friends so easily." Every accomplishment I had was minimized while she was celebrated for the smallest things. "You were always the favorite," Chloe insisted, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. "Then why did they all choose to go see your new car instead of coming to my housewarming? If I'm the favorite, explain that to me." She had no answer. Instead, she changed tactics. "It's just a house, Eleanor. People buy houses all the time. It's not that big a deal." The dismissal of my greatest achievement stung, but I refused to be derailed. "This isn't about the house or the car. This is about you deliberately lying to our family to manipulate them. You created false evidence to make me look bad. That goes beyond sibling rivalry, Chloe. That is calculated and cruel." "They would have come to your party eventually," she said, her voice smaller now. "I just wanted them to see my car first, when it still had the big bow on it and everything. They could have done both. But they didn't, because you told them I had intentionally changed the time to hurt you. You made me the villain in the story when all I wanted was to share something important with my family." The sound of a key in the lock interrupted us. The door opened to reveal my parents. "Eleanor, what are you doing here?" Diane asked, glancing between Chloe and me. "I came to talk to Chloe about what really happened yesterday," I said, turning to face them. "Did you bring the invitation I sent you? I'd like to show you that it always said 3 p.m. My father's expression hardened. "We came to check on your sister because she was upset last night. We don't need to rehash this whole situation." "Actually, we do," I insisted, a newfound courage in my voice. "Because Chloe lied to you. She created fake text messages to make it look like I changed the time of my party. The invitation always said 3 p.m., and she knew that." "Eleanor, that is enough," my mother said sharply. "Stop trying to blame your sister. Look." I held out my phone, showing them the doctored conversation. "This is our actual text exchange. Chloe inserted these screenshots herself. They don't even match the format of our other messages." My father barely glanced at the phone. "I don't know what you're trying to prove here, Eleanor, but attacking your sister is not the way to handle this. I am not attacking her. I am showing you the truth. My voice rose in frustration. Why is it so hard for you to consider that Chloe might be lying? Why do you automatically assume I am in the wrong? Because you have always been jealous of your sister, my mother said, moving to put an arm around Chloe, who had begun to cry. Ever since she was little, you've resented the attention she gets. The injustice of this statement, after everything that had happened, broke something in me. That is not true. That has never been true. I have spent my entire life trying to make you proud, working harder than anyone I know to achieve the things I have, and still nothing I do is ever enough for you to actually see me. We see you just fine, Eleanor, my father said coldly. We see someone who cannot be happy for her sister's accomplishments without making it about herself. Her accomplishments? I laughed, the sound bitter. Buying a car with money our parents gave her is an accomplishment? But me saving for 10 years to buy a house on my own is not worth showing up for. It's not about the car or the house, my father said, echoing my earlier words to Chloe. It's about your attitude. My attitude? I was nearly shouting now. My attitude has always been to work hard, never complain, and support this family, even when you all continuously overlook me in favor of Chloe. And I am tired of it. I am tired of being the only one who sees this dynamic for what it is. Chloe was fully crying now, head buried in our mother's shoulder. The familiar sight of my parents comforting her while I stood alone sent a wave of painful recognition through me. I think you should leave, my father said, his voice leaving no room for argument. Your sister is upset enough without you making wild accusations. They are not wild accusations, I said quietly, my anger giving way to a deep sadness. They are the truth. And the fact that none of you can even consider that tells me everything I need to know about my place in this family. I walked to the door, pausing with my hand on the knob. For the record, the invitation always said 3 p.m. I never changed the time. I wanted all of you there because, despite everything, you are my family. And I thought my first home was something worth celebrating together. I guess I was wrong. As I left, I heard my mother's soothing words to Chloe. It's okay, sweetheart. Eleanor has always had a flair for drama. I drove home in a state of numb disbelief. The confrontation had gone even worse than I'd anticipated. They had refused to believe me and reinforced the very dynamic I was trying to challenge. In their eyes, I would always be the problem. As I pulled into the driveway of my beautiful house, I made a decision. I couldn't change my family, but I could change how much power I gave them over my happiness. Starting today, I would build a life that didn't revolve around seeking their approval. Starting today, I would define my own worth. The next 3 months passed without a word from my family. At first, the silence was painful. But gradually, I began to breathe more freely. Without the weight of expectations, I found space to rediscover who I was. I threw myself into making my house truly mine. I planted a garden, something I'd always dreamed of. Every weekend, my hands in the soil I found. Healing. Inside, I installed bookshelves, refinished an old desk. The most significant changes, though, were happening within me. Without the constant background noise of family drama, I began to hear my own voice. What did I want? Who was I when I wasn't trying to prove my worth? The friends who had shown up for my housewarming became an essential part of this journey. They were the family I had chosen. Sarah and I started a weekly dinner tradition. My colleague Michael invited me to his community garden group. My neighbor Emily introduced me to her book club. One rainy evening, I attended my first support group meeting for people with difficult family relationships. I always thought I was alone in this, said a woman named Olivia during her introduction. I thought I was the only one whose family made her feel invisible. Her words struck a chord so deep that tears sprang to my eyes. As others shared their stories of narcissistic parents, golden child siblings, years of gaslighting, and emotional manipulation, I began to see my own experience reflected. It wasn't unique. Olivia became both friend and mentor. She suggested books that helped me understand family systems. The hardest part was accepting that they might never change, she told me. It took me years of therapy to realize that they don't want to understand, because their version of reality works for them. At her suggestion, I began seeing a therapist, Dr. Amelia Chin. In our first session, I poured out the story of the housewarming and its aftermath. She nodded with understanding. What you are describing is a classic family system with rigid roles. Your sister is what we call the golden child, and you have been placed in the role of the scapegoat. These roles often have very little to do with who you actually are as people, and much more to do with your parents' own unresolved issues and needs. Over the following weeks, Dr. Chin helped me unpack a lifetime of interactions. I saw how I'd internalized the message that I was only valuable for what I achieved, that love was conditional. The hardest thing to accept, Dr. Chin told me, is that you cannot make people give you what they do not have to give. Your parents, for whatever reason, are not capable of seeing you clearly or loving you unconditionally. That is not a reflection of your worth. It is a limitation in them. Those words were a turning point. I had spent 32 years trying to earn love that should have been freely given. I had contorted myself into the perfect daughter, student, employee, sister. Always responsible, never demanding, constantly achieving, hoping it would be enough. But it never had been, and it never would be, because the problem was not with me. As this realization settled into my bones, I began to change. I started saying no to things I didn't want to do. I bought clothes in colors I loved. I took a pottery class just for fun. At work, I applied for a creative director position I would have once considered beyond my reach. To my surprise, I got it. My new role allowed me to showcase my creativity, my ability to inspire. "You seem different," my colleague Isabella commented, more present. "Like you're fully inhabiting your space." I was finally recognizing my own value outside of my family's narrow definition. 6 weeks into our arrangement, I received a text from an unknown number. "Hey sis, it's Leo. Got a new phone. Can we talk? Not about family stuff. Just want to see how you're doing." My younger brother had always been the quiet one, often lost between Chloe and me. We'd never been particularly close, but an unspoken understanding had always existed. I agreed to meet him for coffee. Leo looked older than his 24 years. When he saw me, his face lit up. "Your hair looks different," he said. "It suits you." I had cut my long hair into a shoulder-length bob, a small act of reclamation that felt significant. We talked about neutral topics, but eventually, the conversation turned to what had happened. "I should have come to your housewarming," he said quietly, looking down at his coffee. I knew something was off, but I didn't want to get in the middle of it. "I'm sorry, Eleanor." "Thank you for saying that," I replied, surprised by how much his acknowledgement meant. Leo hesitated, then continued. "The thing is, this wasn't the first time Chloe has done something like this." "What do you mean?" "She's been manipulating situations for years, making herself look good at your expense. I've seen her do it so many times, but Mom and Dad never question her, so I just stayed quiet." He looked up, regret clear in his eyes. I should have said something. What followed shook the foundation of how I understood our family history. Leo revealed incident after incident where Chloe had lied, twisted facts, or created drama to ensure she remained the center of attention. The birthday party where my gift to our mother mysteriously disappeared, only to be found damaged in my room. The time Chloe had deleted an important email about my college scholarship. The rumor she'd spread that I was too busy to attend our grandmother's 75th birthday, when I'd never even received an invitation. "I think she feels threatened by you," Leo said. "You're everything she's not: independent, successful, driven. So she has to find ways to make you look bad or keep you away from the family. And our parents just believe her," I said, the familiar hurt rising again. Leo nodded sadly. "They see what they want to see. Chloe plays the role they need her to play, the delicate one who needs their protection. And you've always been the strong one who they think doesn't need anything." We talked for hours, peeling back layers of family dynamics. For the first time, I felt truly seen by someone who had been there for all of it. "What are you going to do now?" Leo asked. "I'm going to keep building my life," I considered carefully. "My real life, not the one I thought I needed to have to earn their approval. Beyond that, I don't know yet." Leo hugged me. "For what it's worth, I've always admired you, Eleanor. You're the strongest person I know." His words bolstered me in the weeks that followed. The house that had once felt tainted by my family's rejection now became a symbol of my resilience. 2 months after coffee with Leo, he called with a proposition that made my heart race. "I think it's time for Mom and Dad to hear the truth," he said. "All of it." I've been doing a lot of thinking, and this pattern has gone on too long. I want to help set up a meeting with them. Neutral territory, like a restaurant. What do you think? My immediate instinct was to refuse. I had found peace in the separation from my family's toxicity. Did I really want to reopen that wound? What about Chloe? I asked. She'll just manipulate the situation again. Not this time, Leo said with a determination I'd never heard. I have evidence, Eleanor. Screenshots of conversations, emails where she admits what she did. She doesn't know I saved them. And I'm ready to stand up for the truth, even if it means confronting our parents. After a long discussion, I agreed. Not because I expected a Hollywood reconciliation, but because I wanted to reclaim my narrative. For too long, I had been defined by Chloe's lies and my parents' willingness to believe them. Whatever happened, I wanted to stand in my truth. We arranged to meet at a quiet restaurant. Leo arrived at my house beforehand, a folder of printed evidence in hand. Are you sure you want to do this? I asked him. They might turn on you too. He nodded. I'm sure. I can't keep watching this happen. It's not right, and deep down, I think they know it. As we drove, I mentally prepared myself. Dr. Chin had helped me set realistic expectations. I wouldn't argue endlessly. I would state my truth calmly and clearly. If they couldn't hear it, I would walk away knowing I had done what I could. My parents were already seated, their faces a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. My mother, Diane, had new lines etched around her eyes. My father, Richard, sat stiffly. Thank you for coming, I said as Leo and I sat down. Leo said it was important, Diane replied, her voice neutral. He said there were things we needed to discuss as a family. There are, I confirmed. Things that have been left unsaid for far too long. Our conversation started cautiously. After the waiter took our orders, Leo cleared his throat and opened his folder. Mom, Dad, there's something you need to know, he began. About what happened at Eleanor's housewarming, but also about a pattern that has been going on for years. My father's face hardened. If this is about blaming your sister again, please just listen, Leo interrupted, his voice steady but insistent. I have proof of what really happened. He laid out the evidence methodically, screenshots of the original invitation clearly showing the 3 p.m. time, the fabricated text messages Chloe had created, and most damning of all, a series of texts between him and Chloe where she had bragged about making sure Eleanor knew her place. My parents' expressions changed as they reviewed each piece of evidence, from skepticism to confusion to the dawning of an uncomfortable realization. This cannot be right, my mother said weakly. Chloe would not do this. She did, Leo said gently. And it's not the first time. He continued, revealing other incidents from our childhood and early adulthood where Chloe had deliberately sabotaged me or turned family members against me. With each example, he provided corroborating evidence, saved emails, text messages, photos with telling timestamps. My father sat in stunned silence, his face growing increasingly pale. My mother began to cry quietly. Why are you showing us this? She finally asked. What do you want from us? We want you to see the truth, I said, finding my voice. For years, I have been cast as the villain in a story I never wrote. I have been made to feel that I was not worthy of the same love and attention that Chloe received automatically. All I ever wanted was to be seen for who I really am, not who Chloe told you I was. My father looked up, meeting my eyes directly, perhaps for the first time in years. Eleanor, I don't know what to say. If what Leo is showing us is true. It is true, I said firmly. And I think deep down you have always known something was not right. But it was easier to go along with Chloe's version of reality than to question it. A heavy silence fell over the table. This was the moment of truth. Would they acknowledge what they had seen, or would they find a way to dismiss it? I think we need to talk to Chloe, my father finally said, his voice rough with emotion. Would you like me to call her now? Leo asked. My parents exchanged a long look, then nodded. The 30 minutes we waited for Chloe to arrive were among the most tense of my life. My parents sat in stunned silence, occasionally glancing at the evidence. I focused on my breathing, reminding myself that regardless of what happened, my worth was not dependent on their recognition. When Chloe walked in, Her confident smile faltered as she took in the serious expressions. "What is going on?" she asked, sliding into the empty chair. "Is this some kind of intervention?" "We need to talk about the housewarming party," my father said, uncharacteristically hesitant. "And some other things." Chloe's eyes darted to the folder, then to Leo, then to me. "Why are we still talking about that?" "It was months ago." "Because we have reason to believe you lied to us about what happened," my father continued, "and possibly about many other things over the years." What followed was one of the most difficult conversations of my life. Chloe initially denied everything, then tried to minimize her actions, then attempted to paint herself as the victim. But faced with the concrete evidence and Leo's calm insistence on the truth, her defenses gradually crumbled. "Fine," she finally said, tears streaming down her face. "I did it. I did all of it. Are you happy now, Eleanor? You finally turned everyone against me." "This is not about turning anyone against you," I said quietly. "This is about the truth finally being acknowledged. You have been manipulating this family for years, Chloe. You have deliberately hurt me over and over again, and I need to understand why." Her answer, when it came, was both simple and heartbreaking. "Because it was so easy. Because everyone always believed me over you. Because I was afraid if they saw how amazing you really are, they wouldn't love me anymore." The raw honesty of her admission stunned us into silence. "Chloe," my mother said finally, her voice breaking, "we would never stop loving you. Never. But what you did was wrong. So wrong." My father reached across the table and took my hand, his eyes filled with regret. "Eleanor, I don't know if you can ever forgive us. We should have seen what was happening. We should have questioned things instead of always assuming the worst of you." I didn't respond immediately, letting the weight of his words settle. This wasn't a moment for easy forgiveness or quick reconciliation. This was the beginning of a much longer, more difficult conversation about trust, truth, and family. "I don't know what happens next," I admitted. "I have spent the last few months building a life that doesn't revolve around seeking your approval or understanding. I have found strength in that independence. But I would be open to seeing if we can build something new, something based on honesty and mutual respect." In the weeks that followed, my relationship with my family began a slow, careful reconstruction. My parents visited my house for the first time, expressing genuine admiration. Leo and I grew closer, our shared experience creating a bond that had never existed before. Chloe was a more complicated story. After the confrontation, she entered therapy, beginning the difficult work of examining her own insecurities. Our relationship remained distant, the trust too thoroughly broken to be quickly repaired. But there was an honesty between us now that had never existed. 3 months after that pivotal meeting, I hosted another housewarming party, a symbolic reset. This time, my parents and Leo arrived early, helping with final preparations. Friends who had supported me through the darkest moments mingled with family members who were cautiously finding their way back into my life. As I looked around my living room that evening, seeing the blend of chosen and birth family, sharing food and conversation, I felt a sense of completion that had nothing to do with external validation. My home had become what I had always wanted it to be, a sanctuary of truth and authenticity, a place where I could be fully myself. The journey had been painful, but the lessons it taught me were invaluable. I learned that sometimes standing in your truth means standing alone. I learned that family is not just about blood, but about who sees you clearly and loves you anyway. Most importantly, I learned that my value does not depend on anyone else's recognition of it. Today, 2 years after that fateful housewarming party, my house has truly become a home. The garden I planted has flourished, much like my sense of self. My career has thrived now that I no longer seek approval with every decision. And my relationships, both family and friends, are built on a foundation of mutual respect and genuine connection. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give ourselves is the courage to stand in our truth, even when those we love most refuse to see it. Sometimes the family we need most is the one we build for ourselves, person by person, truth by truth, day by day. How did you find the strength to remain true to yourself in the face of family pressure or manipulation?